Hi, hi. So since time immemorial, right, documenting has always been a cornerstone for progress, clarity, and learning across our history from the day our fathers were born to this moment. Nations, communities, people like you and I actually has used documents to learn, be better in our skill and a lot of other amazing stuff, right? Which is why we're having this talk today. Becoming a better developer through documentation. We're going to discuss diverse ways how we can improve our skills as developers, technical advocates in becoming better in the work that we put out there, the stuff that we do, right? And before we get started, my name is Harmony Elendu. I'm a project manager and product manager with over 6 years experience in building products and managing projects across board. I'm currently the technical documentation lead, CHAOSS, a Linux Foundation project, right? I currently lead the technical documentation focus group. I'm also the technical product manager in Africa, a product built in Nigeria or HQ in Nigeria that do a lot of other stuff. I'm also a technical infrastructure, ecosystem, and documentation expert. My experience in managing team has succeeded from local establishments to also global impact. As you all know, I'm also an international speaker and local speaker, and I'm an open source contributor and technical. Before we get into the talk, right? Very very simple question, like, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Who loves writing here as a developer? Like, you're a developer and you love writing, right? The survey I did, right, with over 100 responses, over 70% of developers don't like writing. People don't like writing, literally. They feel like it's an extra stress, and like they do, it's like it's helped them limit the work that they do and reduce. It just makes them have a lot of burden, right? They just prefer to just put down the code and makes things work, and they're good, they're done, right? But we need to understand that code is for machines and documentation is for humans, right? We work on these technologies, we build the syntax, right? We do the functions, and we need to get it in our head that this code makes the work, make the machines do the work, right? But documentation is for people like you and I, people that would work on these machines after you're done working on them, people that would help improve them when you're no longer there, people that would keep this product for a long time, which is why this talk is actually very, very important. Yeah, let's get started. Why documentation matters, right? So think about the time when you joined a new project. Maybe it's an open source repository, a new job. You clone the repo, you open the folder, and then you look at the folder, right? No README, no setup instruction, no guidance. The usual stuff. You spend days, sometimes weeks, piecing things together, ensuring that that repository becomes reasonable, right? You get to understand, like, you're putting stuff together. Basically, it becomes a puzzle. You're looking for the pieces, trying to fix them together to ensure that it works, to ensure that you understand that project, to ensure that you get to do new stuff or add more functions in that repository, right? Now, compare that to a project that has great documentation. A clear README, precise setup instructions, maybe even a contributor's guide. And instead of wasting weeks, you already start contributing in that project. You already start building functions. You already start fixing bugs just within hours, right? The difference between the first project and the second project is proper documentation, right? So that's literally, this example gives you a full picture why documentation matters. In the work we do as technology advocates, the work we do as somebody that builds, that converts ideas into systems that works, right? That offer solutions to people through programming languages, through different technology stacks, right? Documentation save time. And the good thing about proper documentation, it allows you, go back in time to figure out where you make a mistake, to figure out where the bug is coming from, to figure out where possible that system has gotten broken, right? So it's not just only saves time, it prevents repeated mistakes, it makes us more productive, it reduces stress and burnout, because we don't want to carry every detail in our head. Nobody can, like I said, the code are the machine. We are humans, literally, right? We are the ones, and we wouldn't want to carry every details in our head, right? So documentation is extremely very important. This scenario, just like I explained, is the reason why documentation matters. Right before you code, right? I always tell my team members, right, people that are getting into the the system, right? People that start building codes, people I've spoken to, right? Always document before you write. Plan properly. Look at the code from different perspective and put that into document before you even jump into your VS code and before you even start writing. Let me even paint a scenario for the documentation first mindset. Let me paint a scenario. Think of it like drafting your thoughts before you dive into solving the problem you're told to solve, before even putting together the pieces to actually create a function in your code, literally. So let's use an API for an example. When you're designing an API, the first thing you do is you write the reference first. You you ask yourself, what should this function do? What are the functions that are going to make up this API system, right? What are those inputs that are very, very important that this API needs to actually take before it even produce a result? And the next thing you ask yourself is, what should it return? After taking in this input, what are those actual results, right, that you need? What are those post requests? What are the get requests? You need to like put these things together to ensure that your API has a proper function, right? This process, when you infuse documentation into your development process, it helps you to force clarity. It allows you to catch inconsistencies and also bad assumptions before they even make it into your VS code, which is why documentation is extremely very important in your journey as a developer. And it also helps you track when the function is not working as expected. The results are not, the data that is shooting out is not what you expect. It's not the intended data, right? The first thing you look at is your document. You not start scanning through 1,000 lines of code or 1,000 lines of functions before you start figuring out, oh, what did I do, what did I do? Documentation gives like that clarity, right? And there's a lot of benefits. It clarifies your thinking. It gives you a proper roadmap for your development. It also help you in terms of development in collaboration, especially when you're working with an open source related code, right? When there's no proper document in that project, when there's no proper technical documentation, when there are no sample responses, right, you will not be able to develop properly. You will not even be able to collaborate better within your peers and even people that are not within your peers. It takes you from your intermediate level to like a very high end professional. That's what documentation does. It takes you from point A to point B swiftly. Now we're here, let's talk about the best practices, right? There's a lot of best practices that we need to consider, right? There's a lot, right? Things that I need you to consider when documenting as a developer. They're just literally six core terms, six best practices that's worked for me, that's worked for people that I've worked with. And I think it's something that you can actually implement. I think it's a source that you can, take back from the stock. It's a very short talk, so it's that source that you should take back. First, write and prepare your document like you're preparing that documentation for your future self. Imagine you completely forget everything about a particular project in the next 6 months. What do you want to know? What are those important functions? What are those important details, those tiny details that you would want to remember, that you know that once you put these tiny details together, you'll be able to flesh out the project like it is the first day that you're writing it. So prepare your documents properly like you're writing for your future self. The next thing that you need to do is keep it simple and structured. You need to understand that you're not the only one that is going to work on that project, even if it's your personal project. The project can just blow up tomorrow, right? The contribution you're doing in that open source project, somebody else needs to pick it up. In another contributor, another person needs to pick it up. Something you're working within your team members, somebody needs to also work on it together, right? The more the merrier, basically. So always prepare your document in a very simple and structured format, because you're collaborating not just with yourself, but also with the next person. So use proper headlines, bullet points, and short paragraph. Imagine if someone should skim through your docs, would they be able to get the idea quickly, or is it too complex? These are like possible questions that will allow you to prepare simple and structured documents. The next thing is use README. Prepare a README as if it's your front door. Treat your README file like a welcome mat to your project. You should tell people what the project is, why it exists, how to get started in order a very short time. Within 5 minutes, your README docs in that repository, like your README file, should be able to tell people the most basic and the most important details they need to know about that project. That would also help them get started. This is why it's very important, right? Next thing is update continuously. Documentation is not that thing that you write at the beginning of your code and you dump it and then you go into your code, you code, and then you leave it. No, you have to update continuously. The moment you keep adding more lines of code, more functionalities, more details, more functions, you need to update your documents. You need to update your documents not just for yourself, like I said earlier, but also for the next person. So documentation is not a one-off thing. Treat it like your code. Review it, iterate on it, and keep it updated. Instead, treat it like your version control system. You'd always have a new version, always update it as as much as you can, right? The fifth best practice is use example and visuals. I tell people, even when I prepare product documentation, images help people to understand the picture you're trying to paint literally. So the use of images, graphs, visuals would help your document even better. Sample codes, screenshots, code snippets, diagrams, they are going to always explain the concept better. Even when you're trying to work on that project again 6 months after, that picture gives you much more clarity of what that code is all about, or what this document, or why you even decide on this particular function or that particular stack for that project. The next thing that you always need to do is contribute back. If you struggle with someone else's doc, maybe you're an open source contributor just like I am, or you're working for a team project built by a group of people and you feel like the document is not properly done, don't complain, do well to improve them and create their pull request. Always improve documents better than it used to be, which is why there are projects that have stayed in repositories for longer years. And you see that the first pull request by somebody is like 10 to 15 years ago, and that project has gotten better. The document has improved, right? There have been different versions of that document because people are always giving back. So be a good person and be a better person and always give back to documents, especially when you feel like it is clogged. It has a lot of information and it has been outdated. It's very complex. So always do well to give back. These six things are like the best practices that you need to know. This They're not just you're not limited to these 6 pointers I've given, right? But this would help you as a stepping stone. It's going to lay the foundation for you to become a better person through documentation, a better developer, literally, right? And I'm going to reiterate, write for your future self. Do well to prepare your document like it's for your future self. Keep it simple and very structured. Your document should be minimalistic. It should be very simple for anyone, regardless of their experience, regardless of if this is the first time that they're writing code or if this is the first time they are getting into that repository. They need to be able to understand it with just looking at it within a short period of 5 minutes. You should be able to understand the core functions, why the project exists, why you guys are building it, what are the things, the setup instructions, all of those things. So keep it simple, right? Always have a README document, a README file in your repository, in your system, in that stuff that you're building. README file helps to paint a holistic picture of how or what that project is all about. Update continuously. That's the fourth one. Always update your docs, right? Use examples and visuals. This has always helped, especially those of us that write technical documents. It's very important to use images, infographics, snippets, code screenshot, and a lot of other things. The sixth one, always give back. Contribute back to document even when the project is not your own. As long as you're working on it and you feel like that document could be better, it could you can reduce complexity. Remember, not everybody know how to write docs, right? But a lot of person use documents to work on different projects. So always give back. Give back as a person. Give back because you want the system to be better. Give back because you want that project to keep existing. And you want more people just like you contribute more on that particular project. So now we're going to talk about tools. Tools and equipment that are going to allow you to document better, or that's going to allow you to basically systemize your process, like tools that makes it very, very easy, right? So remember, you're not alone in this, right? There are great tools out there that can actually make your documentation easier. One of them is Sniffis. Sniffis is best or perfect for Python projects, right? It's also integrates with Read the Docs. MK Docs, very, very, very sweet. A very good tool that I've used, especially for for my Markdown documents or documents that need Markdown. So it's super lightweight, Markdown based, and extremely very friendly. Jupyter notebooks, right? Jupyter notebooks, I think, is what most people actually use. It helps you to combine codes, prepare better explanation and output in one place. Like you do all of this thing, you combine your code, prepare sweet explanation that would help people look at that project better. Jupyter notebooks actually help. One that is very, very popular is Gitbook and Dockeros, right? Dockeros is very great for project, and a lot of people use Dockeros and Gitbook, right? It's great for project. It helps you for, it's very good for user-friendly documentation that you want people to access regardless of their experience. Yeah, Gitbook help you. Incline tools like docstrings, type hits, auto generators like pdoc can also automate parts of your document. These tools are good, right? And I also need you to understand that while automation is great, remember that generated documents explain what the code does, but it does not tell you why it matters, which is why you still have to still touch your document. You need to infuse the human aspect of it. You need to add your own flavor. You need to make it very distinct. You need to make it more understandable, reduce the complexity, and that is why you still need to write, regardless of automated system, allowing AI to do the stuff and allowing these tools to just do everything. You still need to make it work. Add more life to it, literally. That's what it is. We have discussed a lot, right? I want us to talk about the impact of document to you as a developer, the impact to your team members, and the impact that it gives to you as yourself, like your personal impact, right? From my own experience working with multicultural developer team building diverse projects, I have firsthand seen how documentation transforms collaboration amongst team, amongst communities, and even onboarding new people into your community. Firsthand, like a living testimony of how documentation have taken our onboarding process from 2/10 to over 10/10, literally. With proper documentation, things became easy and people actually contributed better in our open source project. So we're going to look at the team aspect of it, which is team slash community. And we're also going to look at your personal benefit. For team and community impacts, the first thing you need to know is it makes room for better onboarding. It allows you to onboard new people regardless of their experience. Also helps to serve as a guide to mentor junior developers. You basically lay the foundation for junior developers to explore and become better. It also helps to transfer knowledge faster from one person, one team lead to the next lead. Documentation is that bridge that allows for knowledge transfer between people, right? One team member to the next person, one new leadership to the next new leadership. It also helps for scalable collaboration. So it allows different departments to collaborate together while working on one project, different communities, different open communities, different systems, literally different people from diverse departments collaborate better. So it helps for scalable collaboration. For personal benefit, It looks into clearer thinking. It allows you to picture things properly, right? If you're having clogs when you're trying to put in your work, like put the pieces together, you're trying to either work on a project, work on a particular function, solve a problem in your establishment or in your personal project or the work that you do. Documentation gives you that room to think better. It allows you to think better. It also improves your problem solving skills. It allows you to solve problem faster and also better. It also helps to reduce frustration and burnout. Burnout is something that we get as technology persons, like people that work with technologies and build systems for people to do things better. Burnout is something that we face, especially when you work remotely, right? Documentation gives that room and reduce that stuff. So instead of you're debugging for a long time, documentation allows you to like reiterate and look things from a different perspective, basically from like a bird's eye view. Documentation is that thing that helps you to think better, right? For this talk, I want you to go home with, if there's nothing you go home with or you take back from this particular talk, I need you to understand that your code might actually win today, but its documentation will keep it for a lifetime. Nobody, no developer out there, no innovator, no technology advocate is building a project today or is part of a system that wants it to die with them. So your code can actually win today, but proper documentation allows it to stay in a lifetime. People from different spaces, people from different continents has worked together without even seeing their face, without even getting to jump on a Google meeting because of proper docs, right? So be a better developer today, document properly, learn how to document properly, take these steps that I've shared in this talk, and it's going to take your journey from where you are today to 2x for you to be a better person, a better contributor to your open source project. If open source is your team, a better collaborator amongst your team, a better problem solver. And trust me, you would you would you would not expect the change that it's going to influence in the work that you do today. Thank you so much for joining this session. Do well to connect with me on LinkedIn. So I'm open for your questions and I'm ready to answer questions. Let's just take questions.